he's like, I'm telling you I'm crazy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my plow and I'm going to plow my fields and sow salt into the field. That way nothing can grow. And I'm just going to good all zigzaggy like. And they're going to think I'm crazy and then I won't have to go. And so they come to go get Odysseus, and there he is, salt in the field. He's like, woo! I hope this stuff grows real good. And they're like, he looks pretty insane. We should probably leave. It's like, I don't know about this guy. He's kind of crafty. And so what they do is they take baby Telemachus. Like, oh, he's so cute. And they throw him in front of the plow. So, if he's crazy, he'll just run him over and he won't know any better. He's like, whoa, baby. You are not crazy, sir. You're coming with us. So that was 20 years ago. Telemachus, the Trojan War was 10 years long, and then Odysseus' journey home was 10 years. Now, Telemachus is all grown up. And you know how the way they say it is because he has a little bit of beard. So he has his first hairs, all he's on. So he and it's a problem because he's been waiting for his dad to come home. It's been he's 10. He gets news. Hey, the Trojan War's over. Awesome, Dad's gonna come home. Waits 10 more years. Dad, Father. Where are you? I'm gonna go check this out. And meanwhile, his wife, because they're on the island of Ithaca, right? And Penelope is the queen, and this is Odysseus' wife. Odysseus was the king. And so now a bunch of 108 guys are like, hey Penelope, clearly your husband is dead. So you need to marry one of us. And you know how we're going to win you over? You know how we're going to woo you so you pick us? We're going to move into your house and get all your stuff. And so she's 108 guys live in her house. They're like, marry me. No, marry me. And she's like, yeah, give me some time. There's a lot of people to pick from. And I'm sure my husband will come home. Just you kind of smell. Just stay away. So Telemachus is like, I'm going to go find my dad. And so he gets on a boat. Athena helps him out. He gets on a boat, goes, talks to old Nestor. And then old Nestor's like, hey, you should talk to Menelaus. He's like, okay, I'll go talk to Menelaus. He goes talk to Menelaus, who's with Helen. He's like, oh, this is the girl they were fighting over. I guess she's kind of pretty. You know anything about my dad? It's like, no. So he ends up running into this ocean god Proteus at some point while he's sailing to Egypt. And Proteus is like, oh, dude, I totally know where Odysseus is. He's alive. Don't worry about it. You just need to go home. He's trapped on an island. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Thanks, God.
So you just go home. So it takes him a long time to get home. So he's on his way home. Then flash over. Okay, now we actually meet Odysseus. And it turns out that for the past 7 years, he's been trapped on an island with this witch, Calypso. And she lives on an island with a bunch of girls. And so Odysseus washes up and she's like, hey, you are not a girl. I am not married. Let's make this thing work out. And Odysseus is all like, I'm married, I'm a good guy, no. And she's like, well, come to my island. So for 7 years he's there, she's like, hey, and he's like, no. Like, boy, you're looking good to get off this island. And he's like, hey, I got stuff here, you don't need to go. Look, grapes, wine, me. And they're like, no. So finally, Athena talks to Zeus and says, hey, my son, he's kind of, or my boy, not my son, my guy, can we do something about this? So Zeus sends Hermes and says, hey, Calypso, you need to let Odysseus go, or I'm going to cause your island to sink into the ocean. And so she's like, okay, here's some wood, you can build a raft. So he builds a raft, and so he's like, I'm off. So he's going. I must have really pathetic. Like he's standing like there goes the only man, and like the waves are crashing. He's like, it's not like a really slow thing, but whatever. Like those turtle races, right? It's just like, come on, go. Goodbye. See ya. Can I have lunch? So he goes off. Poseidon, however, has been holding a grudge for the past 10 years against Odysseus. You don't like Odysseus, because Odysseus is an arrogant punk. And so it's kind of like the Bible, right? God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Poseidon, not liking the arrogance of Odysseus. It's like, oh look, you got her out. That's cute. Smash. You can swim now. And Odysseus has some magic shawl that someone gave him, and so somehow a magic shawl helps him swim to shore. But he makes a deal with Poseidon. Hey, everything I'm sorry, my bad. I'll do something good for you. And so Poseidon's like, okay, you'll do what I tell you to, and but now I'll let you get to shore. So he gets to shore. He runs into this girl Nausicaa.
Nausicaa?
Yeah, Nausicaa. I don't know.
Well, now is...
Now she was sick. No, I don't know. turns out she's like, hey, I don't know what it is about this guy, but like, hey, by all those years fighting in the Trojan War, like get you all bronzy and. But whatever. So she's like, hey man, you should come to my house. My mom and dad are the king, and we'll give you dinner. And she's like, okay. So you know, and at some point, I don't really know the logic of this, but they never ask him what his name is.
We just read that chapter.
Stranger. Hey, you crazy guy who washed up on the shore that my daughter brought home. I don't know what's like has probably has like bristled beard. Like, dude, like I said, this is the person you bring home to your parents. I'm not sure. But, so whatever. So but they throw a party and they have a poet sing, and he sings about the story of. You know, Odysseus and Achilles actually got into an argument. And Odysseus, I remember that. Then I sing some other poem, and he starts crying about the Trojan War. And they're like, dude, what's up? Like, I mean, it was a while ago. Like, it's okay. He's like, no, I was totally there. My name's Odysseus. Like, whoa. Like, it's like a celebrity just washed up on our shore. And now we're him. Hey, regale us with the story. How did you get here? Why aren't you in Ithaca? I mean, that was 10 years ago, man. What's going on? It's like, let me paint you a scene. And so now he takes over as like chief poet, and this is like most of the Odyssey, him telling the story. I imagine it would all be an indirect discourse. I'm not sure, but anyway, so he's like, so we did this pirate raid thing on some bad guys, and that was a problem, and you know Poseidon wasn't pleased with that, but you know he didn't hate us just yet. So he caused a storm, and that was all sorts of bad. So we wash up on this island, and then we run into dun dun dun. The lotus eaters.
Oh, what?
Oh, yeah, I read that. I read that.
So lotuses, right, are like those Asian flowers, right?
Oh, and you eat them.
Oh,
and also
And
I think Scion makes a card called the lotus. I'm not sure, but yeah, apparently the lotus eaters, or so the Greeks thought. If you eat lotus leaves, it like is like, dude, like,
Get all soapy.
right, like hallucinogenic or whatever. Like it's like so. Imagine like any stereotype you have of like Woodstock. And just put it back in ancient Greece, and you're just like, yeah, man, that's lotus. And so someone just making that, and you're like, dude, why would we go home? We got lotus leaves here. Like, we're totally staying.
Hippies!
And everyone else was like, yeah, I'm not touching that. Let's go, guys. So they end up, and it's disputed whether it's the same island or they end up like crossing a little thing to get to a different island. But they end up getting captured by the Cyclopes, which is plural of Cyclops. Yeah, Cyclops. You have more than one Cyclops. You have Cyclopes.
Cyclops.
They go little pods. Yeah, like, no. So problem because there's this one Cyclops, Polyphemus. He's like, oh look, I'm gonna capture these guys.
Eat them.
So yeah, so he captures them and he grabs one and he's like, this is so awesome. And he just eats it. And so Odysseus and his people are like, oh, this is not gonna end well. So they're trapped in a cave. You know, Polyphemus puts a big rock on the cave, in front of the cave. They're like, oh dang, what are we gonna do? And so Odysseus is like, I know, I'll reason with him. Because, you know, one-eyed giant man-eating monster. We'll talk about it.
Man to man.
So, Mr. Giant, Psych, if I can call you that. Holly, how's it going? He's like, hey, yeah, pretty well. What's your name? He's like, my name's Nobody. Which the name Odysseus, it kind of sounds like nobody. Was like, yeah, I'm Nobody. He's like, oh, that's a weird name, but okay, cool, Nobody. I'm going to eat you. Like, oh, I really appreciate it if you didn't. Like, yeah, no, it's going to happen. Okay. Well, here, what if I give you some wine? And so the Greeks had wine, but what you were supposed to do was take this wine, you would add like a cup of wine and then 10 cups of water to dilute it down, because it was really strong and it would get you. And so they had a big skin of it, and they're like, here, why do you drink some? Like, I got this. And he's like, they don't tell him, oh, you're supposed to dilute it. She's like, yeah. And like, oh, actually, I probably just like drops the whole like thing in his mouth. I mean, he's a savage barbarian. So he gets a little like, ooh. And he gets a little tired. So he's going to go to sleep. So one eye goes to sleep. And like, all right, guys, time for master plan. And apparently, Polyphemus had like spikes hanging out in his house. I don't know what he used them for. Like, so all we know about inside Polyphemus' house, there's Polyphemus, there's a fire, there's spikes, and there's sheep.
Oh no.
He gets flocks inside. So, because like any normal person, right, I keep my sheep inside.
Nom nom nom. Eat them.
So they put the spike in the fire, and he gets all hot. And they're like, all right, guys. And then you see like the four of them line up like. So I don't know how they get up to Polly, like if he's laying on his back or if he's like fine, they had to climb a wall, but they're like, Polly! And he opens his eye, wham! have one eye. It's really hard to see once that one eye gets stabbed with the spike that's been in the fire. So like most people, he freaks out. So his brothers hear him screaming in his cave, like, oh gosh, Polyphemus again. like, okay, Polly, what's wrong? He's like, I'm hurting. They're like, oh dang, he's hurt. What's the matter? He's like, nobody is hurting me. I knew he was the black sheep. Like, okay, well, you and nobody, you just work it out, and you just don't be hurt by nobody. So he's blind, and he's all sorts of problems now. He's like, oh, all right, you tricksy little hobbits. Oh no, people. I'm going to eat you. And they're like, oh yeah? And he's like, I'm going to get you. And he's like, okay, well, I'll just wait you out. And then the sheep start buying. He's like, oh, they got to go out. Sheep need to get outside. So Odysseus then has a point. We're going to strap ourselves to the bottom of the sheep. That's because Polyphemus, he's like, I'm going to open the door, and I'm going to block it, and I'm going to feel each sheep as it goes out. That way they can't get out and all this nonsense. So they strap themselves to the bottom of the sheep, which apparently are like giant sheep. He would strap a dude underneath. And when Polyphemus feels it up, he doesn't feel anything. Like, yeah, so they're just strapped to the bottom. The sheep walk out, bye, bye, bye. Odysseus somehow straps himself to Polyphemus' most favorite sheep. I don't know how he can identify it now being blind. He's like, oh, sheepy, how I love you. And Odysseus like, oh. Yeah, so they let the sheep go out. They're like, all right, peace. And they get on the boats. And then here's where Odysseus really does it wrong. Because again, he's arrogant. So they get into the harbor. And as they're sailing away, Odysseus is like, hey, sucker, we're gone. And oh, by the way, my name is Odysseus. And so Cyclops throws a rock at him. and then he's like, but knowing that he's blind, and he's like, Father! And Neptune was his dad, or Poseidon or whatever. He's like, Dad, curse this sucker because he blinded me, and I'm your son, so you should do it. And Poseidon's like, done. And so, so Poseidon's like, yeah, guess what, Odysseus? He doesn't like tell him this, but he just decrees it. You're going to wander the ocean for 10 years, and all your men are going to die. So they don't know this yet, but they're sailing away. And so they think they're all tricksy or whatever, but instead their arrogance leads to lots of problems. So then they go to Iolaus. He's the god of the winds, and like, Iolaus, baby, you got these winds. We have a sailboat. It would be really good if you could blow the winds, towards Ithaca, towards home. He's like, sure, man. He takes a bag. He sticks all the winds, other than the one wind that they need, like western wind. Like all the winds but the west wind in a bag, and says, here's what we're gonna do. Only the west wind's blowing, so you're gonna get to Ithaca right quick. And when you get there, get off the ship, let the other ones out, and it's going to be awesome. And so he tells this to Odysseus. Odysseus comes back with this big bag of winds, because you can do that, apparently. And says, hey guys, wind's blowing, let's go. So, and he just stays up. He stays up. I'm going to wait for Ithaca. And so he's going, he's waiting. And just as Ithaca's coming to sight, he's like, yes, we've made it. I'm going to take a nap.
Fail.
I don't know. He was tired from, I don't know, because... yeah, that happens.
I'm home. I'm going to go take a nap.
Right.
Yay!
So the men are like, finally, he's asleep. Because we know that inside that bag is vast amounts of treasure that Iolaus gave him because he likes him better. So we're going to take it. So he's asleep. And they're like, ha-ha, treasure. And wind comes out. And a storm brews and just sends them flying. Some ships are destroyed. Some people, I'm sure, like the guy who opened it, just like, I'm sure he's just gone.
Dun.
They end up washing up on this island. Again, some people died, some ships are gone. Turns out it's the island of the Lystragonians, which apparently are also giants who eat people. Because if you're a giant, really, what else are you going to do with your time but eat people? So they get out there looking for stuff. The giants start coming and grab people, and you're like, oh, dang, we should leave. So they're thinking about, and the giants are throwing rocks. And then, unlike Polyphemus, who is blind, they aren't. So they're doing a real good job with the rock throwing thing. And so they smash some ships. Odysseus gets away. But again, we've lost more people. Next, they
death and more death.
Yeah, it happens. It's an epic poem. You can't have an epic poem without lots of people dying, or you're doing it wrong. Yeah. Next, they wash up on this island and like, oh, dude, someone should stay here just in case because we've had bad luck with islands. So the rest of us, we're gonna go hunting or whatever. So they go and they don't come back. Like that's weird. And also a wild pig runs by. Like, oh, let's get the pig. And man, that's funny. He somehow they identify him. Hey, that's our buddy. Turned into a pig. Like, I totally recognize that guy. He always looked a little piggish to me. I don't know. It's like, oh, this is a problem. There must be someone turning things into pigs here.